My name again is Christina Bach. I've been with ChildNet for 2 years in Broward. Previous to that, I worked for 4 years in Dade County, also doing the same child welfare case management. I basically am in charge of placing all of the foster care children in Broward County. So we see every child that comes in that's removed. And recently ChildNet has also gone into Palm Beach County. So we have currently facilities in both of those counties. Obviously in human trafficking, we do see a majority of girls, so we often see more of the women that come forward to help these girls, but we also have, boys that are trafficked as well, or that are being socialized to think that pimping is okay. And although, of course, it's very difficult to look at a pimp and to see that that pimp is a victim, I mean, how do you get to that place? You get to that place of being able to exploit other people by having gone through some trauma in your own life as well. You ask yourself, how did I not know before? How did I not know that this palpable, significant, huge form of slavery that is in our streets, that is infiltrating in our youth all across America, how did I not know? And yet we all don't know. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys is sexually abused. I mean, the rates are fantastic. It is modern day slavery. I think the word slavery is so key because we like to think that in the United States, we're one of the most, advanced countries in the world. We abolished slavery a very long time ago. It's in the past. It's not happening now. What are you talking about slavery? That offends people. The United States doesn't have slavery. That's for third world countries. That's for Africa. That's for Thailand, where everybody knows there's human trafficking in Thailand because there's nothing, there's so little income that the people have. And no, slavery happens here every day. Commercial sexual exploitation of children is basically it's sexual activity involving a child in exchange for something. It doesn't have to be money. It could be getting your nails done. It could be a meal. So they are socialized once they begin as girls to continue that pattern for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That's why we have to start at the teenage girls, the youth, because if we don't get them out now, there's very little chance. The harsh reality is there's very little chance later on of rehabilitating and getting them out. Because if we didn't have the demand, we wouldn't have the trade. If we didn't have the demand, we wouldn't have the trade. It is a form of violence against children and against adult women every single day. There's a reason not to do pornography, not only because we think it's wrong, and because what culture is it creating? It's creating a culture of objectifying women. Do the men, the children, the boys that start as teenagers, do they know when they buy that magazine what's going on the other end of that camera? I bet you they don't. And I bet you if you told them what's going on, there might be another reason for them not to choose pornography. Massage parlors are actually hitting the newspapers as one of the now widely recognized means of human trafficking. To give some legislation, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, it defines severe forms of trafficking in 2 parts. It's a commercial sex act induced by force, fraud, coercion, or in which the person induced to perform it is not 18 years. It refers also to what forms it takes: the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purposes of subjection to involuntary servitude, peonage, debt bondage, or slavery. It can be the quiet girls that go to your school, that are in school every single day, and at night they're turning tricks for their boyfriend. That can be CSEC. And only foreign nationals can be victims. And I think I talked about this earlier. I mean, that's obviously, we know that's not correct. The faces of the girls being exploited are not foreign nationals, not the ones that we deal with. Not saying we don't have them, but it's not the majority of the children in the United States. And victims of human trafficking can be men and women, adults and children, and basically it can be anyone. It can be anyone. Some numbers, the estimated, we have 100,000 to 300,000 children in the United States that will be trafficked every year. The reason that that number is so huge, from 100 to 300, is that this is a silent crime. So it's very difficult to get an idea of the real numbers of how many girls are being exploited. So we have to give that huge 200,000 ratio of what it could be. 70 to 90% of the children have been prior victims of sexual abuse. The National Incidence Studies of Missing, Abducted, Runaway, and Throwaway, children estimate that 1.6 million children run away from home each year in the United States. And 1 in 3 of the teens will be recruited within 48 hours of leaving home and becoming homeless. And it doesn't happen at once. It's not, girls don't run looking to be exploited. They don't run looking to be with the man of their dreams, a man in his 40s, a man in his 20s. No, this doesn't happen. They run because they're unhappy, and they give in because they don't know what else to do. Whenever the Super Bowl comes, wherever the Super Bowl is, it's the players, it's the fans, it's the parties. Huge, huge spot for human trafficking. Girls are brought in from all over the nation for the Super Bowl. And then what happens is Florida has warm weather all year round. So during the winter, the girls will be taken from New York down to Miami. They'll be brought from the different states, basically because we know that during the tourist season, men come from all over. The men that buy the girls are our own brothers, fathers, friends, pastors. I'm telling you, it runs the gamut. So that just gives you an idea. Florida is definitely at the very center of the sex trafficking routes. The prime areas are California, New York, and Florida. What we don't have and what we're trying to have now is the community of people who may not work in the field, who may have other jobs, who just want to take time to say, I care about you too. The Human Trafficking Maltreatment Code was entered into the Florida Abuse Hotline system so that now if you suspect that someone's involved in human trafficking and you have any type of evidence and you don't think it's enough, this is one way to help. If you see it and you know the child's name and you know enough to be able to give a location that that investigator can go out and talk to the girl, you can make that call. The Safe Harbor Law was legislation that we actually tried to pass for many years, the past several years, and it finally passed. It allows for the operation of safe houses, actually mandates there has to be a safe house in every jurisdictional area in every county for emergency and non-emergency, like long-term, for the girls. There has to be a place for them to go. Now the stipulations and specifications of what that safe house can be, it could also be a foster home or group home, but it has to be available to non-foster girls as well, understanding that they're not the only ones that are suffering from it. And basically it decriminalizes a child prostitute. It gives them a safe harbor by saying, listen, we understand as a society and as a legal system and as a state that these children need our help. If we see a girl that's hurting, if you're a teenager and you're in school, we can teach our children the signs of what's going on. Guys, we have to do something. We have to fight this fight, and we have to end it. We have to stop it once and for all.